Welcome back to JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Anime Review. This is part 6. And in this one, I'm reviewing the OVA series that basically came out in 1993 and 2000. Yeah, it's a 13-episode OVA, which was aired out of order. Yeah, basically episodes 8 through 13, though there was a retcon to be episodes 8 through 13 of this OVA. And this was an adaptation of Stardust Crusaders, part 3 of the manga, and then they aired an additional 7 episodes 7 years after these episodes finished airing, and those basically is just from the start of it up until they got to Egypt. And I don't know what the production team basically was thinking of doing this, basically where they start airing it like halfway through, and then all of a sudden 7 years later it's like, oh, why would we just adapt the first half of the manga? Very rushly, mind you. Yes. Now, here's the thing. I have nothing against the production company of APPD. That's the production company that actually did this one. Not Data Production, who did the 2012 series, which I did recently a review of. Excuse me. This one was done by a different company, and they also did another film, which I was planning on doing for the next part, but I'll get to that in a few minutes. This one, they basically kind of condensed a lot of stuff. They moved stuff around. It's not a terrible OVA. It's not a terrible series. It's well told, and also when you see Dio during the last few episodes, he actually has an outfit that he actually does wear from the manga, which from a picture I've seen online, that is an accurate representation of his outfit he wore during the last several chapters of the series. And mostly everybody in the series, except for Holly, pretty much wears the same exact outfit they wore both in the manga and the 2012 anime. The only one that doesn't is Holly. Holly basically wears what looks like a 1990s female businesswoman's attire, basically kind of like the purple, partially button-up shirt. I think that may have been the style in the early 90s for Japan. I don't know. But I know this is basically like not the correct attire she was wearing at that point. And also they changed it where instead of meeting her father at the airport, they met up at a courthouse. Well, at a police station anyways, because they kind of, well, rushed over that really cool ending of basically when Joseph gets to Japan, he basically kicks a Japanese man because, well, he doesn't like the Japanese, but he does love their gadgets. And everybody's very somewhat soft-spoken. And I looked at basically who these voice actors are. With the exception of like maybe one or two of them, a lot of them really haven't done really very much since this OVA finished was dubbed. Now, this was definitely dubbed by Viz Media, and I have also heard this series did face some controversy. Yes, I've actually heard about this in a video, and I looked up online. In episode, I think it was the second episode of the series when it aired in the 90s. There's a scene in there of Dio reading from the Quran. Yeah. Nothing really wrong with people reading the Quran. I have nothing against people reading it. But apparently, over in the Middle East, this stirred up a lot of controversy because Dio, a guy who's very evil, reading a book, basically reading a religious book like that basically drew some controversy. Another controversy that both the manga did suffer from a little bit, basically, was that when Dio and Jotaro were battling, they were battling on top of mosques, they were destroying mosques. In the OVA, they only destroyed like the top of one piece of a mosque, but they weren't exactly battling on. They were definitely battling on top of like the tippy top of these mosques. They weren't exactly destroying them. The other thing they really destroyed was a streetcar. That was really it, and plus also some signs. So I kind of tend to think that basically the police probably surrounding Jotaro basically afterwards, still being free by the Speed Manga Foundation. Like, okay, how are you going to explain all this to the Egyptian authorities? Probably the Speed Manga. Okay, there was an evil vampire in town. Basically, we sent the Joestar. We sent these group of people here to kill him, and they succeeded. And we're sorry about the people who got massacred by Dio. Yeah, The thing about the main characters, they don't actually kill innocent people. Dio doesn't really give a crap. Also, in the first episode of the 2001, when they first showed Dio, basically after he gets out of the boat, he is shown doing this thing where he takes 2 fingers and sticks people's necks, and that's how he sucks out blood. Instead of the traditional with vampires where they bite people's necks. I've never really understood this. Heck, even the original manga and the 2012 anime, they still keep this in there. And also, these women they were all topless. Yes. And they even show this additional scene of basically set in the past of the Aztecs. The only reason I know it's the Aztecs because it was referenced in part 1 that the first stone mask scene in the franchise was found in Mexico. So yeah, this was the Aztecs. Also for the 2000 series, which is basically the prequel one, first 6 episodes, they kept showing this particular scene, which my guess is probably adapted from the final chapter of Phantom Blood. Here's how it goes. Okay, you have Chang, who is the Chinese zombie who works for Dio. He lifts up Dio's head, which is in a jar for some reason. In the OVA, they do not give an explanation for this at all. Somehow he destroys it, and instead of shooting out energy like he does both in the manga and the 2012 anime, he shoots out blood veins out from the bottom of his neck, bottom of his head. I'm like, seriously? Okay. This looks like something from John Carpenter's The Thing. It's like the creators were really trying to rip off The Thing with this particular scene. And the thing is seeing the thing wrap around his neck and trying to suck out his blood. And, of course, they're also frequently showing the ship exploding. This passenger line. They do reference this as Jonathan Joestar. But if you watch this anime, if you're watching watch this in chronological order, you watch this opening, you see like, okay, who is this guy? Who is this? Who's okay? You do get a chance to see Dio's coffin, which, by the way, I should point out though the 2000 basically for these first 7 episodes, they do accurately depict exactly what Dio's coffin looks like. In the 1993 episodes, they completely changed the look of his coffin. I do not know why they did this for. So he sort of strangles him, and the thing ends while the ship is exploding for no explained reason. And also apparently there's some battle happened basically, and this is Jonathan Joestar. Of course, they reveal it's Jonathan Joestar, and part of his shirt's been ripped up. And he's showing off his star birthmark that's in the back of his neck. I mean, it's not like back here. It's more like right here. Yeah, right just below the neckline. Yeah, that's simply where the birthmark is. They show that, and now I don't really get why the changes they made, because they were just rushing right through it. They were skipping over a lot of stuff, like the fact there was more stands, and the fact that when this is for the first half, they also didn't put in there in the OVA. They did put this in the 2012 version when they adapted this for season 2 of the show. They put the little girl Annie, who was actually both in the manga and the 2012 anime. Here, they just skip over her. It's like, okay. And of course, Karen's basically, they also skip over the scene. It's like, when you watch this series, if you watch this before the 2012 series, if you watch it before the 2012 series, you're like, man, if you already had read the manga, man, they're just condensing this like crazy. It's like they cut out a lot of stuff, but they kept some good stuff in. They changed some dialogue here and there, but they kept some good stuff in. But yeah, they really rushed it. Yeah, and also when they go on that ship, basically, which in 2012 series, they're actually with a full crew of people from a sailing ship. This time they're going a Speedwagon private plane, which, not surprised, Speedwagon Foundation has their own private plane because they were financed by Robert O. Speedwagon. Yes. And of course, one of them got sort of his head was destroyed by one of those hooks that you see on cargo ships. Yeah, same thing happened in the 2012 series and in the manga. So you have some stuff here and there, though the orangutan in the series was not sliced in half by Petrov. And also they skip over the moments where apparently he had one of those flesh buds inside of his hair. Unlike in Kira, basically, they had it like right here in his head. They apparently skip over that, or he probably didn't have it at all. They don't explain exactly why they cut it out for. But yeah, and also they had this thing where the whole thing of tentacles stuff. Yeah, it's really kind of weird. It's like, why make the changes for anyways? So bizarre, to say the least. Yeah, but one thing I can praise the anime for, this particular OVA series, is that for the main 5 characters, basically, with the addition of the dog, who actually is accurately depicted correctly. Heck, even his stand looks correct. The 5 human characters, Joseph, Jotaro, Abdul, Petrov, and Cuny, these 5 men all have accurate looks, and the way they're depicted is very clear, is very good. They do change a couple characters, a couple of the stand users here. One, of course, is Centerfold. They changed his name to J. Toros, which is odd. They changed his name to that, even though that in the manga in the 2012 series he's called Centerfold. And the fact they do keep in the fact that he has 2 right hands. As for his mother, apparently his mother has a strange ability where she can either be an old lady or look like a smoking hot woman with long platinum blonde hair. Yeah, as a matter of fact, when she's first seen, she basically looks like a smoking hot woman. Yeah, unlike in the 2012 series where she is looking like the way she does all the time, an old lady. Yep. And also, Whole Horse is actually killed earlier than he is in the manga, in the anime. As far as I can tell, he was put in the hospital, but he wasn't killed. I mean, I knew this was Whole Horse right away as soon as I saw him because I remember seeing him from the 2012 series. So it's like certain things, and also they changed it when they first introduced him in the 2012 series and the manga. He's seen riding, I think it's a horse. Yeah, he's riding a horse. This one, he's riding a motorcycle. I don't know why, but that's simply the way he is. And then I'll skip over the hilarious scene of hilarious, somewhat disgusting scene of a pig come up in the back of a toilet. Yeah, for some reason, when the restaurant was built, basically the pipes basically like directly into a pig pen underneath it. And apparently, the manager likes to have his butt licked by a pig. It's very disgusting, but it's somewhat hilarious too to see a pig in a toilet. It's a pig's head, but the pig is alive, so it's not exactly gross, but it's kind of gross and fun at the same time. It would be nice to see that, but my guess is they were just trying to rush it, and they put in a lot of blood. I mean, heck, there's more blood in this series than there is in the second time they adapted for the 2012 series for season 2. There's a ton of blood shown in this series. Okay, yeah, they show a lot of blood and stuff like that, but it's an okay adaptation. It's not terrible. It's just that you probably think after watch this, maybe they could do a little bit better if they were trying to adapt this again, and they did. Watch 2012 series. You see, what I did is I watched 2012 series first because I heard about the reputation that the OVA series has. So I wanted to watch the 2012 series and see how they did it first. This is, of course, with their production. I did that first, and then I watched this series. It's not terrible. It's just that the changes they made were completely unnecessary. All right. Okay series overall, but it has a pretty good amount of animation, but the animation is different the way you look at it. In the 2000 series, they use the same animation style they use, and this is the same company that made the Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex OVA. Yeah, the same exact one. And even though they did do the 1993 one, but the animation looks very different, very, very light, and not, it looks okay, but it seems like for the first 7 episodes they have a lot, it seems like they had a much better, it seems like they were, how should I put it? It seems like they had a lot more time on their hands, and they did this in a very easily paced. The anime, for the last 6 episodes, it looks like it's very rushed and very light in color. But that's just how I'd see it. Okay? But normally put, basically, I did say that I was going to do for the next 2 parts, talk about the 2007 anime film, the anime adaptation of Phantom Blood. I looked it up, couldn't find it. Oh, I just could not find it. And I did a little more research when it comes to a particular film. Apparently, this film was never released on VHS, or it was never released on DVD. Nope. Despite the fact this one came out 10 years ago, and it's done by the same company who did the OVA series. But apparently this film was never released on DVD. Apparently, from what I could tell, it never got a dub, which I'm like, that's odd. I would have thought maybe they would use the same dub team they used for the 1983 and 2000 OVA series. And there's also the live-action film, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, Diamonds Unbreakable Chapter 1. Despite the fact this film was released roughly just a few months ago, apparently has not been released yet or something, and I can't seem to find it. So, for now, this review series, after this episode, is sort of basically put on hold, or at least going to go on hiatus until those next two things come out. And plus, there's also some some light novels for JoJo's Bizarre Adventures that I would love to read. But here's something really, really weird about these light novels. Here's the names of them. You have George Joestar, the book JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, Fourth Another Day. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, probably another light novel. Le Bizarre Avenue de Gigi II, Golden Hearts, that's Golden Ren. Purple Haze Speed Book, and Over Heaven. Yeah, these 6 light novels, and I checked where these were released. Apparently, there's only a translation. There's only the original Japanese translation, and apparently these books were only released ever in Italy. Which I'm like, that's odd. And I'm kind of like, Viz Media, can you please get the license to have these 6 books translated in English? I mean, heck, you already got most of the books translated for Naruto, and I think they did do the first 4 for Bleach. The first 4 came out during the course of the original anime series, but as to the come afterwards, they have not released translations. They have not released like physical book forms of those yet. So I keep thinking, though, why can't I find these books? Yeah, I did try looking for these books as well, but couldn't find an English translation of them. Not at all. So I would love to have this OVA series continue, but the stuff I really would love to do with this series, like watch a couple more films, read some light novels. Of course, I am reading the manga, which currently for part 5, I have exactly 77 chapters left to go for it, and I'm pretty much done with it. But as for anything else related to JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, there's nothing else I can do besides the manga. Anime-wise, it's done. Yep, the anime's done. But there's like 2 other films and the light novels I would love to do, but just can't find them. Yeah. Either that or the live action film has not been officially released. Despite the fact I did look up the release date for it. Apparently it was released back in August, but I can't find an English sub for it at all. I guess never released yet, who knows, but from obviously the image of it looks really interesting, and the fact the characters look a little bit different. Of course, it's an all Japanese cast, so it kind of makes sense to do that, okay? So, yeah, that's really it for this episode, and it for now of this anime review series. My next anime series I'm going to start up is, and this is a bit of a surprise, Sailor Moon. Yes, because I recently just finished up reading the manga, so I figured, though, why not start watching the anime? But you might think, am I going to start with the original animated series or Sailor Moon Crystal? I'm actually going to start with Sailor Moon Crystal because this one's already been entirely dubbed, and it's 39 episodes, and it's going to take the first 3 reviews of my next review series, Sailor Moon Anime Review. And it's not a typo of the fact I'm doing it. Okay? But that'll be my next anime review series I'm going to do. I still plan to do watch Attack on Titan. And for sure, Kenshin, I want to watch his anime series as well. But yeah, I also plan to watch the Tokyo Ghoul series in the future, because I have heard the series is going to revive because they're adapting the sequel series to the original one. So I kind of figured why not watch that before the series comes out next year. Yeah. So there's a few series I want to watch in the future. but I'll get to them soon once I finish up these things in particular order. So the one that probably take me the longest to get through is probably going to be the original Sailor Moon series, because this is 200 episodes. The Viz Media, and I checked their website. Apparently, they've only released the redubbing of the first 89 episodes. So I would have to switch over to the original dub in order to finish watching it. That's probably what I'm going to have to do, unless, of course, Viz Media somehow magically releases Season 3 in the new dub form. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the first episode of the Sailor Moon Anime Review. And I'll get my thoughts on the first season of Sailor Moon Crystal, okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.